not enter.
Yeah, you noticed, huh?
Jeez!
Keep your pants on.
What if the most famous car chase in cinema history was filmed without permits, insurance, or permission? What if the yellow Mustang that defined automotive action was driven by a man who destroyed 93 cars and nearly killed himself? This isn't Hollywood magic. It's one man's obsession that burned through his fortune, demolished a city, and created a 40-minute chase sequence that studios still study today. Number 20. H.B. Halicki owned every car destroyed and paid for, all damage himself.
Had to go. He loved bright lights and good fast cars, women in love and the Hollywood stars.
Gone in 60 Seconds wasn't backed by a major studio with deep pockets. It was an independent film financed entirely by writer, director, producer, and star H.B. Halicki, using his personal fortune from selling cars. Every single vehicle destroyed during filming belonged to Halicki himself. He owned a massive car collection and salvage business, which gave him access to hundreds of vehicles. But here's the staggering reality. The film destroyed 93 cars during production, and Halicki personally purchased or owned every single one. He didn't rent them, he didn't borrow them. He bought them, destroyed them, and absorbed the total loss. Beyond the vehicles, Halicki paid for all property damage caused during the infamous chase sequence. Crashed light poles, demolished fire hydrants, destroyed street signs, and damaged buildings all came out of his pocket. Insurance companies refused to cover the production because the stunts were too dangerous and unpredictable. So Halicki personally wrote checks totaling over $250,000 to repair the destruction his chase scene caused across Long Beach, California. That's over $1.4 million in today's money. No major studio would ever allow this level of financial risk, but Halicki believed in his vision enough to literally bet everything he owned. Number 19. The yellow Mustang wasn't originally supposed to be Eleanor. Everyone knows Eleanor as the yellow 1973 Mustang Mach 1, but that wasn't Halicki's original plan. The script initially designated Eleanor as a 1971 Grabber Blue Mustang Boss, 351 with black stripes. Halicki had already purchased the Boss and prepared it for filming, but 3 days before the chase sequence was scheduled to shoot, the Boss 351 suffered catastrophic engine failure during a test run. The motor seized completely and couldn't be repaired in time. Halicki faced a crisis. He'd already booked streets, coordinated with police, and assembled his crew. Postponing would cost thousands in rescheduling fees he couldn't afford. The solution sat in his salvage yard. A yellow 1973 Mustang Mach 1 with a 351 Cleveland Fief 8 that ran perfectly. Halicki made an instant decision. The yellow Mustang became Eleanor, and cinema history changed forever. Here's the irony. The Boss 351 was more valuable, faster, and more desirable to car enthusiasts. But the yellow Mach 1's bright color photographed beautifully and stood out dramatically during the chase. That accidental substitution created one of the most iconic movie cars ever filmed. If that Boss 351 hadn't broken down, Eleanor would look completely different and possibly wouldn't have achieved legendary status. Number 18. The entire 40-minute chase was filmed without city permits. The 40-minute chase sequence that made Gone in 60 Seconds legendary was filmed entirely without official city filming permits. Halicki couldn't afford the astronomical fees Long Beach required for street closures and permitted filming, so he developed a guerrilla filmmaking strategy that was both brilliant and illegal. He filmed during early morning hours when traffic was minimal, using real streets with real unsuspecting drivers. The police cars chasing Eleanor were actual Long Beach Police Department vehicles that Halicki purchased at auction and repainted. Civilian drivers in the scene weren't extras. They were real people going about their day, suddenly confronted by a yellow Mustang flying past at 80 miles per hour, followed by police cars. Many of the shocked reactions you see are genuine. Halicki stationed spotters with walkie-talkies at intersections to warn of real police approaching. When actual cops showed up investigating complaints about reckless driving, the crew would scatter and regroup elsewhere. The production was essentially playing cat and mouse with real law enforcement while filming a movie about a cat and mouse chase. This guerrilla approach saved Halicki approximately $120,000 in permit fees, but it risked arrest and criminal charges for everyone involved. Number 17. Halicki drove Eleanor himself and suffered a broken back during the famous jump. H.B. Halicki wasn't content directing from behind a camera. He insisted on performing every dangerous stunt himself, including driving Eleanor through the entire 40-minute chase sequence. This decision stemmed partially from budget constraints, since hiring professional stunt drivers would have cost money he'd already spent on cars and equipment, but mostly it was pure ego and obsession. Halicki wanted complete control over every aspect of his film. The famous jump where Eleanor flies over multiple parked cars wasn't performed by a stunt double. That was Halicki behind the wheel, launching the Mustang at 65 miles per hour off a ramp with no safety equipment beyond a lap belt. The jump covered 128 feet and became the longest car jump ever filmed at that time, but the landing was catastrophic. The Mustang's suspension completely collapsed on impact, sending violent shockwaves through the chassis directly into Halicki's spine. He compressed 2 vertebrae and broke his back. Halicki refused medical treatment, took painkillers, and continued filming for 3 more weeks before finally seeing a doctor. X-rays revealed serious spinal damage that required surgery. He spent 6 weeks in a back brace but edited the film from his hospital bed, unwilling to let injuries stop his obsession. Number 16. The Mustang's engine exploded twice and was rebuilt using junkyard parts.
His front, insurance investigation. His business, stealing cars.
The yellow Mustang's 351 cubic inch Cleveland 5.8 started production in decent condition, but the brutal filming demands quickly destroyed the motor. Halicki pushed the engine beyond its design limits, running sustained high RPM, performing countless hard launches, and executing aggressive maneuvers without proper maintenance intervals. 3 weeks into filming, the engine developed a catastrophic rod knock that evolved into complete failure within hours. The crankshaft broke, punching a hole through the engine block and spraying oil across the street. Halicki couldn't afford a professionally rebuilt motor, so he visited local junkyards searching for parts. He found a wrecked 1972 Mustang with a salvageable Cleveland block, mixed and matched pistons from 3 different engines, and assembled a Frankenstein motor in his garage over 4 days. That rebuilt engine lasted 6 more weeks before it too exploded during a high-speed pursuit scene. This time, the cylinder heads cracked from overheating. Halicki repeated the junkyard parts hunt, building a 3rd engine that survived the remaining filming. The Mustang you see in different scenes is actually running 3 different engines built from salvaged components. Close observers can hear distinct differences in exhaust note and engine sound throughout the film's 40-minute chase. Number 15. Over 300 civilian cars were damaged by debris from the chase. The guerrilla filmmaking approach meant real civilian vehicles were parked along streets where the chase occurred. Halicki didn't have the budget or permission to clear entire city blocks of parked cars. When Eleanor or pursuing police vehicles crashed into light poles, fire hydrants, and street signs, the resulting debris scattered across multiple lanes. Metal fragments, broken glass, and concrete chunks became projectiles that damaged innocent bystanders' vehicles. Over the 3-month filming period, Halicki received over 300 damage claims from Long Beach residents whose cars were hit by flying debris or struck by vehicles losing control during stunts. Each claim ranged from minor paint scratches to serious body damage. The total liability exceeded $115,000. Here's how Halicki handled it. He personally visited every single claimant, assessed the damage, and wrote checks on the spot. He couldn't afford lawyers or prolonged negotiations, so immediate cash settlements were cheaper. Some people tried inflating their claims, hoping to profit from the situation. Halicki, who'd sold cars for years, could spot fraudulent damage instantly and refused to pay exaggerated amounts. Several claimants threatened lawsuits, but most accepted his offers because fighting would cost more than the settlements. Number 14. The yellow paint was house paint because automotive paint was too expensive. That distinctive bright yellow color covering Eleanor wasn't automotive paint. Halicki couldn't afford professional automotive finishes, so he used exterior house paint from a local hardware store. He purchased 20 gallons of high-gloss acrylic house paint intended for residential siding at $8 per gallon. An automotive paint job would have cost over $2,000, while the house paint totaled $160. Halicki and his crew applied it themselves using foam rollers and brushes in his garage over 2 days. The result looked surprisingly good on camera, especially in motion where texture details disappeared. But house paint isn't designed for vehicles. It had no flex additives, UV protection, or durability for high-speed driving. Within the first week of filming, the paint began chipping everywhere the car experienced impact or vibration. Every minor contact with walls, curbs, or other vehicles removed chunks of yellow paint, exposing primer underneath. The Mustang required constant touch-ups between takes. By the end of production, Halicki had repainted sections of Eleanor 17 times using that same house paint. The final car looked terrible up close, covered in visible brushstrokes, roller marks, and mismatched paint layers. But from 20 feet away through a camera lens, it photographed beautifully and created an iconic image that defined automotive cinema. Number 13. Real Long Beach police officers appear in the film. Thinking it was an actual pursuit, the most authentic moments in Gone in 60 Seconds weren't scripted. During several chase sequences, real Long Beach police officers who weren't part of the production accidentally joined the pursuit, believing they were witnessing an actual crime in progress. Remember, Halicki was filming without permits, using repainted police cars and creating genuine chaos on public streets. Dispatchers received dozens of calls reporting a yellow Mustang driving recklessly through neighborhoods. Real patrol units responded to these calls and encountered what appeared to be fellow officers already pursuing the suspect vehicle. Several real cops joined the chase, following the production vehicles without realizing they'd stumbled onto a movie set. In one sequence, you can identify 3 genuine police cars among Halicki's fake ones by their different markings and slightly different paint schemes. The real officers only discovered the truth when the pursuit ended and they approached what they assumed were fellow officers. Finding a film crew instead of colleagues infuriated them. Several real cops threatened to arrest Halicki for impersonating police, reckless driving, and creating public disturbances. He avoided charges by promising to obtain proper permits, which he never actually did. Those real police reactions and genuine confused officers appear throughout the chase, adding unscripted authenticity no Hollywood production could recreate. Number 12. The transmission failed 9 times and required roadside repairs during filming. The Mustang's C6 automatic transmission started production in questionable condition. Halicki purchased the car from his salvage yard, knowing the transmission slipped between gears, but hoping it would survive long enough to finish filming. It didn't. The constant hard acceleration, neutral drops for burnouts, and aggressive downshifting during the chase destroyed transmission components at an alarming rate. The first failure occurred during week 2 when the forward clutch pack disintegrated. Halicki and his mechanic rebuilt it roadside using parts scavenged from another wrecked Mustang in his yard. Over the 3-month shoot, the transmission failed completely 9 separate times. Each failure stranded the production wherever Eleanor died. They couldn't afford tow trucks, so repairs happened on location, using basic tools and whatever parts Halicki could source locally. One rebuild occurred in a shopping center parking lot, another on the side of the freeway, and one particularly memorable repair happened in someone's driveway after Halicki knocked on doors begging to use their garage. The homeowner, recognizing the yellow Mustang from previous filming days, allowed them to work in his space for 6 hours. These constant transmission failures cost valuable filming days and forced Halicki to shoot scenes out of sequence based on where Eleanor was operational, rather than following the script's intended order. Number 11. The interior was completely stripped to save weight and reduce fire risk. Halicki removed virtually everything from Eleanor's interior before filming began. The rear seats, door panels, headliner, carpet, sound deadening, and even most of the dashboard came out. Only the driver's seat, steering wheel, and essential gauges remained. This wasn't an aesthetic choice, it was pure survival strategy. The stripped interior reduced the Mustang's weight by approximately 300 pounds, improving acceleration and handling for the demanding stunts. But the primary reason was fire safety. Halicki knew the brutal driving would likely cause mechanical failures that could ignite fires. Interior materials like foam, fabric, and vinyl burned rapidly and produced toxic smoke. Removing them created a metal shell that was far less flammable. During one crash, the fuel line ruptured and sprayed gasoline throughout the stripped cabin. If factory interior materials had been present, the car would have become an inferno within seconds. Instead, Halicki escaped with minor burns and the crew extinguished the flames quickly. The stripped interior also allowed easier camera mounting inside the vehicle. Halicki bolted camera rigs directly to the bare metal floor without worrying about damaging upholstery. The downside was comfort. The metal interior became unbearably hot during summer filming, regularly exceeding 130 degrees. Halicki wore welding gloves to touch the steering wheel and lost 15 pounds from heat-related dehydration over 3 months. Number 10. 74 minutes of chase footage was shot for the 40-minute final sequence. That iconic 40-minute chase wasn't filmed in 40 minutes or even 40 days. Halicki shot over 3 months of intermittent chase sequences whenever he could afford film stock and coordinate his guerrilla filming operations. The total raw footage exceeded 74 minutes of continuous chase material. Halicki filmed multiple versions of every stunt, crash, and pursuit segment because he knew mistakes would happen and cars would be destroyed. Some sequences required 7 or 8 takes before achieving usable footage. Others worked perfectly on the first attempt, but Halicki filmed additional angles anyway for editing options. The challenge came in post-production. Halicki had to condense 74 minutes of footage shot over 3 months into a cohesive 40-minute sequence that appeared to happen in real time. Continuity was a nightmare. Eleanor's damage accumulated throughout filming, so earlier shots showed a pristine car, while later footage revealed heavy body damage. Halicki strategically edited to make the progressive destruction appear intentional and chronological. He also manipulated time, inserting brief dialogue scenes and reaction shots to extend the perceived chase duration. Weather changed constantly during the 3-month shoot, creating jarring jumps between sunny and overcast conditions within the same continuous chase. Halicki's editing disguised most inconsistencies brilliantly, though careful observers spot dozens of continuity errors throughout the sequence. Number 9. The Mustang had no working speedometer, and Halicki judged speed by sound alone. When Halicki stripped Eleanor's interior, he damaged the speedometer cable beyond repair. The gauge itself was removed along with most dashboard components, leaving only a tachometer and oil pressure gauge. This meant Halicki drove the entire 40-minute chase sequence with absolutely no indication of his actual speed. He judged velocity purely by engine sound, tachometer readings, and instinct developed from years of driving fast cars. For most scenes, this worked adequately. But during the famous jump and several high-speed straightaway sequences, Halicki had no precise speed reference. He later admitted in interviews that he thought he was traveling around 60 miles per hour during the jump. Actual speed calculations based on jump distance and trajectory revealed he was exceeding 75 miles per hour. That extra velocity contributed to the catastrophic landing that broke his back. The lack of speedometer also created dangerous situations on public roads. Several times, Halicki misjudged his speed entering intersections and nearly caused serious accidents with civilian traffic. His crew begged him to install a working speedometer, but Halicki refused, claiming it would cost money and time he couldn't spare. This reckless decision endangered everyone involved. Modern stunt coordinators consider driving without speed indication criminally negligent, but Halicki's obsession prioritized completing his film over sensible safety measures. Number 8. The suspension was never upgraded and collapsed repeatedly during filming. The 1973 Mustang's factory suspension was designed for comfortable highway cruising, not aggressive stunt driving. Halicki never upgraded the springs, shocks, or control arms, despite knowing the punishment ahead. Professional stunt coordinators would have installed heavy-duty racing suspension, costing approximately $3,000. Halicki spent that money on film stock instead, gambling that the factory components would survive. They didn't. The front coil springs broke during the second week of filming after a particularly hard landing. The Mustang's nose dropped 3 inches, creating severe alignment problems and uneven tire wear. Halicki replaced them with used springs from his salvage yard rather than buying proper performance parts. Those lasted 11 days before failing again. The rear leaf springs cracked from repeated hard launches and the stress of carrying camera equipment. Each suspension failure required emergency repairs that consumed filming time and drained Halicki's dwindling budget. By the final week of production, Eleanor sat noticeably lower than it started, with mismatched springs from 4 different Mustang models cobbled together. The compromised suspension made handling unpredictable and dangerous. Several near crashes resulted directly from suspension components failing mid-stunt. The famous jump landing that broke Halicki's back also completely destroyed what remained of the suspension system, rendering the car undrivable until extensive repairs were completed after production wrapped. Number 7. Halicki used his own personal cars as police vehicles and destroyed 13 of them. The police cars chasing Eleanor throughout the film weren't rented from a prop house or provided by studios. They were Halicki's personal vehicles from his car dealership and salvage business. He purchased 13 decommissioned police cruisers at auction for an average of $800 each, then repainted them to resemble active Long Beach Police Department patrol cars. This saved tens of thousands in rental fees, but meant Halicki was destroying his own inventory. Every police car crash you see on screen represented a vehicle Halicki could have resold for profit. The most expensive casualty was a 1972 Dodge Polara that he'd planned to restore and sell for $4,000. Instead, he crashed it through a fence during the chase, totaling the vehicle completely. Another police car, a 1971 Plymouth Fury, was worth approximately $3,000 before Halicki rolled it during a pursuit scene. These weren't just financial losses. They were vehicles Halicki needed for his legitimate car business. Destroying his own inventory for the film put his primary income source at risk. By production's end, his dealership lot looked empty because so many cars had been sacrificed to the movie. This forced Halicki to take out loans to restock his business while simultaneously trying to finish post-production. The financial pressure nearly bankrupted him multiple times. Number 6, the brake system failed completely during the final crash sequence. The film's climactic ending, where Eleanor crashes into a light pole, wasn't entirely planned that way. The script called for Eleanor to stop dramatically near the pole, with Halicki exiting the damaged vehicle in defeat. But the Mustang's brake system had deteriorated so severely during 3 months of abuse that Halicki couldn't stop the car when needed. He approached the final scene location at approximately 40 miles per hour and pressed the brake pedal. Nothing happened. The pedal went straight to the floor with zero resistance. The brake lines had ruptured from constant stress, and all hydraulic fluid had leaked out without anyone noticing. Halicki frantically pumped the pedal and yanked the emergency brake, but the momentum carried Eleanor forward. He made a split-second decision to aim for the light pole, using it to stop the car rather than crashing into crew members or equipment. The impact was far more violent than intended. The pole bent dramatically, the Mustang's front end crumpled, and Halicki's already injured back absorbed another serious impact. Crew members thought he'd been killed. Paramedics arrived and wanted to transport him to the hospital, but Halicki refused until cameras stopped rolling. That genuine crash became the film's ending because the Mustang was too destroyed to film anything else. Sometimes, the best endings are pure accidents. Number 5. The tires were mismatched brands that caused unpredictable handling. Halicki couldn't afford matching tire sets, so Eleanor ran 4 completely different tire brands throughout filming. The front left was a Goodyear Polyglass, front right was a Firestone Wide Oval, rear left was a BF Goodrich Radial, and rear right was a Bias Ply Uni Royal. This insane combination created dangerously unpredictable handling characteristics. Each tire had different traction levels, sidewall stiffness, and grip thresholds. During hard cornering, the mismatched tires caused the Mustang to behave erratically. Sometimes it would understeer, other times it would snap into oversteer without warning. Halicki compensated through constant steering corrections, but several near crashes resulted directly from the tire mismatch. The situation worsened as tires wore at different rates. Halicki replaced individual tires as they failed rather than buying sets, perpetuating the mismatch problem. By production's end, Eleanor had cycled through 23 different individual tires across all 4 positions. Modern stunt coordinators consider mismatched tires criminally negligent, but Halicki's budget forced compromises that risked his life daily. Somehow, he survived 3 months driving on this rolling disaster. Number 4. Halicki's entire film crew consisted of 7 people working multiple jobs. Major Hollywood productions employ hundreds of crew members with specialized roles. Halicki's entire crew totaled 7 people, including himself. He directed, starred, drove stunts, and operated cameras. His brother served as assistant director while also handling sound recording and lighting. 2 friends operated additional cameras while simultaneously managing traffic control and equipment transport. 1 person handled makeup, wardrobe, and script supervision. Another managed what little paperwork existed while also serving as grip and gaffer. The 7th crew member functioned as mechanic, prop master, and production assistant. Everyone worked 16-hour days performing 5 or 6 different jobs. Nobody received proper payment. Halicki promised profit participation when the film sold, which seemed unlikely given the chaotic production. The skeleton crew made professional filmmaking nearly impossible. Shots that required coordination between multiple departments became logistical nightmares. The sound recordist couldn't monitor audio while simultaneously directing traffic around filming locations. Camera operators missed crucial moments because they were moving equipment, but this tiny crew kept costs incredibly low and allowed Halicki's vision to survive his limited budget. Number 3. The film's total budget was $31,000 paid from Halicki's personal savings. Gone in 60 Seconds had no studio backing, investors, or financing. Halicki funded the entire production using $31,000 from his personal savings account. That amount covered film stock, basic equipment rentals, minimal crew payments, vehicle purchases, fuel, and incidental expenses. It didn't cover permits because he couldn't afford them. It didn't include insurance because no company would cover his operation. Every dollar Halicki spent represented money he'd earned selling cars, and every expense brought him closer to bankruptcy. By production's end, his savings were completely depleted. He borrowed an additional $18,000 from family and friends to finish post-production and sound mixing. The total $49,000 budget was microscopic even by 1974 standards. Major studio films cost millions. Independent features typically required at least $200,000 minimum. Halicki proved that obsession, recklessness, and guerrilla tactics could create cinema on almost no money. But the financial stress nearly destroyed him. He mortgaged his house, sold his car dealership inventory, and accumulated debt that took years to repay even after the film became profitable. Number 2, every major distributor rejected the film, and Halicki self-distributed to theaters. After completing Gone in 60 Seconds, Halicki screened it for every major film distributor in Hollywood. Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers, and Columbia all passed. They called it amateurish, poorly acted, and narratively incoherent. They weren't entirely wrong. The film had virtually no plot beyond the chase sequence. Dialogue scenes were awkward and stilted. Technical quality was inconsistent, but distributors completely missed the raw power of that 40-minute chase. Rejected by the industry, Halicki became his own distributor. He personally contacted theater owners, offering them prints and taking a percentage of ticket sales. He drove across the country with film canisters in his car, screening Gone in 60 Seconds in small independent theaters and drive-ins. This grassroots distribution strategy worked. Audiences loved the authentic destruction and real stunts. Word of mouth spread rapidly. The film gradually expanded from dozens of theaters to hundreds. Halicki's self-distribution effort proved major studios had completely misjudged what audiences wanted. His determination turned rejection into triumph. Number 1. The film grossed $40 million against its $31,000 budget. Gone in 60 Seconds became one of the most profitable independent films in history. Against Halicki's $31,000 production budget, the film grossed over $40 million domestically during its initial theatrical run. That represents a return on investment exceeding 129,000%. Major studios that rejected the film watched in disbelief as this low-budget chase movie outperformed their expensive productions. Drive-in theaters reported record attendance. The film played continuously in some venues for over a year. International distribution added another $23 million. Home video sales generated tens of millions more over subsequent decades. Halicki's financial gamble paid off spectacularly. The man who nearly bankrupted himself became wealthy beyond his initial dreams. That yellow Mustang he painted with house paint became more valuable than any legitimate Shelby. The original Eleanor sold at auction in 2013 for $1 million. Studios learned a brutal lesson. Audiences craved authentic action over polished productions. Gone in 60 Seconds proved that raw obsession beats corporate calculation. H.B. Halicki's yellow Mustang wasn't built by Hollywood. It was painted with house paint, held together with junkyard parts, and driven by a madman who broke his own back chasing his vision. This wasn't movie magic. It was pure obsession that created the most profitable car chase ever filmed.